Leo mdosi.
Niko fiti. Siku mingi.
Umepotelea sana.
I'm glad that I'm back.
Ni kumumunya na mumunya peka Kiambu.
Kazi mnapeleka vizuri. I've been following, I know. You're doing a nice job, an incredible job.
Thank you. Tunaipeleka na Riek namna hiyo. Unajua Nairobi.
Fiti Kiambu.
Nairobi watu wanapanda ile kitu wanapanda ni kabro. Hakuna shamba ya kupanda managu.
Hakuna shamba. So is Kiambu town. Lakini we doing well. Salamu zilitumwa mingi kutoka Kiambu. So I told guys I'm coming this morning. But you have a big following in Kiambu, I can tell you. Yes.
Amazing.
So we're doing great in Kiambu, but I'm happy nimekuja tuongee mambo ya hii nchi. We see whether we're progressing or we're going backwards. Yeah.
Watu wa Kiambu wanasemaje?
Watu wa Kiambu wako salama. We want to thank God.
Hawajakutuma hata na muogo unilete ya tako?
Iko kwa gari muogo. But we thank God that tumeamka. Let me read you a scripture. Unajua mambo hujazoea sana.
I mean bishop bwana. Mimi na saizi nikianza amuka mnaweza anguka hapa vibaya sana. Baada hii naenda kuombea wagonjwa pale Kamkuji.
Good. I've read something from the book of Psalms chapter 3. Very interesting. It says, chapter 3 verse 5 says, I lay down and slept. I woke up again, for the Lord sustained me. So, and then the other verse says, I will not be afraid of the 10,000s of people. They have set themselves against me around about. So, but God has sustained us. Bible says, David alikuwa anasema, I lay down and slept. Woke up again because the Lord sustained me. Unajua kuna watu wengine wanafikiria kulala na kuamka ni kawaida.
Anafikiria wamelipia tokens.
Wanafikiria wamelipia tokens ama wamekula vizuri ama kitu kama hiyo. But the truth is it takes the hand of God to see the following morning. So I'm also alive because the Lord has sustained me na ndio nimefika hapa. I'm sure pia sisi wote hapa is taking the hand of God to.
Kwa hiyo roho sasa inafaa sasa utoe sadaka in the same spirit.
Mimi have come with the word. Sasa ni nyinyi mtoe sadaka. It's not the other way around.
Tubariki mtumishi.
Tubariki mtumishi my friend. Yes.
Sasa inaweza tuombe basi. Tukulie tako na maombi.
Tunaweza fanya hivyo. So we pray.
Yes sir.
Okay, so let's pray. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. We want to thank you for the gift of life. We want to thank you that you have gathered us here to discuss important issues about this country. We pray, even as we articulate on issues, Lord, give us wisdom. Help this country on this great day where we're celebrating our heroes. We've got so many heroes, but Lord, we pray that you may touch them from wherever they are. Bless every Kenyan, bless everybody that is in this world. Because you are the God that we trust in. Everything comes from you, and every good thing, the Bible says, that comes from above, and that is from you. So we bless you this day. Be everything that we need. Sustain us and provide all round in everything that we need. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen.
Yes.
But then shujaa wako nani kiongozi?
Niko na wengi, but let me begin with my mom. You know, my mom, that great woman, and my dad. My mom is called Jane Nyambura. My dad is called Erastus Maniki. In a village called Karambaini, somewhere in the interiors of Kiambu, but very close to Kiambu town. Those are my two great heroes. You know, by virtue of they brought me up, and it was difficult, but all the same, they brought me up. I have another hero that is the mother of my children, and I celebrate her, Carol, and I've got 3 girls. My small shujas there, I love them so much. So, and the great people of Kiambu, TOWNSHIP 1, and the greater Kiambu. I have a lot of shujas, including you. You are one of my biggest shujas.
Kwa sure?
Yeah, sasa nisije kuwa hapa kama wewe sio shujaa.
Asante siko najua kumbe mimi ni shujaa watu.
Wewe ni shujaa watu wengi sana.
It feels good to hear that.
Yes.
Ni vizuri kusikia hivyo. It's a good feeling. Alright. Sasa as we are Mashujaa, what are your reflections? What are some of your reflections on Mashujaa?
Let me say, we've come, as a country, we've come from very far. And this country is a very resilient country. And the residents of this country are very resilient. Resilient in the sense that one thing I love about Kenya is that we seem to have a lot of divisions in every other time. But there's a way Kenyans come back. There's a way we're able to reconnect at a certain point, you know. Were it not for these divisions we get via politics and all those things. But I think Kenyans, as a people, ukienda kule Grogo na uende Nairobi hii, ama uende you know, those places, you realize that Kenyans are at peace. We cohabit, you know, but we only divided along, you know, tribes by politicians and along, you know, all those things. But generally, we've the Kenyan populace is a very resilient populace. We're able to meet at a certain point. Tukifanya biashara, hii mambo tukiwa kwa Komba, tukiwa Grogo na nini. So hii mambo ingine inakujanga na wanasiasa is what I would want to now advise Kenyans that we need to get above and beyond those divisive politics and then to kuwa kitu moja as a country. But tumetoka mbali, we must admit.
Yes. Tumetoka mbali ndio jambo mkubwa. Ben Mulwa, asifiwe Yesu.
Amen.
Amka vizuri?
Salama na shukuru.
Ndio mara mwisho tulikuwa kwa barabara kidogo nikasikia sijui ni spokesperson wa Nairobi.
Yes.
Na ukanisahau hivyo bana. Na tulikuambia kura ya urais. How are you doing?
I'm all right.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you.
I'm happy to see you winning big.
Absolutely.
Ana tu mnapelekana na jeshi pale.
Tunaendelea kupambana.
Ama ni jeshi ndio anawapeleka?
Tunapambana na cartel bado.
Good to see you.
All right. How is it going though?
Si mbaya. Ndio tuambie, ni mimi tu ndio najua tulijaribu huko kwetu tukaanguka. Tukasema aje turudi, bado sisi waanguki. Tukuje tuendelee na maisha Nairobi.
Lazima
maisha. Si mbaya, naona sasa I'm happy to see the president at least Kamali. Alright. Salimia wananchi.
Mjamboni wananchi na
kamera yako ni hapa.
All right. Na unajua leo ni siku ya mashujaa. Kwa hivyo leo ningependa kuwa celebrate wale mashujaa wa ukweli. Unajua tena Kenya kuna mashujaa wengi bandia.
Aya.
Lakini particularly mwaka huu umekuwa mwaka mgumu sana kwa watu wengi. Kutokana na janga la corona. Na ningependa kuwashukuru sana wale ambao walijitokeza na wamekaa kipao mbele kuhakikisha usalama wa taifa, kuhakikisha afya yetu iko bora, kupunguza pia zile changamoto tumekuwa nazo, na haswa wale ambao wamejitolea pia kusaidia wale wameathirika zaidi na corona. Unajua watu wengi walipoteza kazi, watu wengi wakapoteza mapato, biashara zao zikakwama. Lakini unapata kuna kesi kadhaa, unapata landlords walipunguzia wapangaji wao rents. Kuna wale wamekuwa wakisupport wengine na chakula na mambo kama hayo. Hao ndio mashujaa wa ukweli siku ya leo. Na sio wale wanapiga kelele sana mtaani bila kutuambia kwamba tukitengeneza hii ama tukiandika lile, hiyo ndio itabadilisha maisha ya Wakenya.
Wale wengine ni bandia.
Hao wengine ni bandia. Maisha ya Wakenya itabadilishwa na haya mambo madogo unaona watu wakifanya. Kusaidiana na kuinuana kama jamii. Hao ndio mashujaa wa kweli. Yes.
Kuliendaje Nairobi bana? Kidogo tulisikia muko kidogo. Nini inaendeleanga Nairobi? Na tulipanga laini za 12 tukapiga kura.
Hapana, Nairobi iko sawa na Nairobi iko imara. Na ukitizama katiba imepatia na nafasi ya kwamba serikali za county zinaweza shirikiana na serikali kuu. Na huo hilo ndio jambo limekuwa likiendelea. Ukitizama article 187 ya katiba imesusia kwamba kuna uwezekano serikali kuu ishikane na serikali ya county ama vice versa. Kwa hivyo ukitizama Nairobi kama jiji kuu la Kenya, kuna changamoto zaidi ambazo jiji la Nairobi linapambana nazo, ambazo kaunti zingine pengine hazipo pale. Ukiangalia Nairobi ndio kaunti kubwa kabisa kwa idadi ya watu na pia kiuchumi. Kwa hivyo hiyo inamaanisha lazima Nairobi pia tuangalie investment ambayo inafanyika pale inaambatana na mahitaji ya wakazi na pia mahitaji ya the international community. Kwa hivyo huo ushirikiano ndio umekuwa ukiona, na mengi yale umekuwa ukitizama pia ni zile tunaita teething problems. Manake kuna zile changamoto ambazo jambo mpya likianzia. Hata ukitizama 2013 wakati ugatuzi ulianza, kulikuwa na changamoto mingi. Magavana wale waliingia ofisini kuanzia 2013, utakubali kwamba walikuwa na changamoto mingi zaidi. Lakini mambo yameenda yakitulia polepole. Kwa hivyo hii ni mara ya kwanza ambapo tunashuhudia transfer of functions from one level of government to another level of government. Kwa hivyo lazima kukuwe na zile changamoto ambazo tumekuwa tukiziona, na kumekuweko pia na kujitolea kwa upande wa serikali ya county na pia serikali kuu kuhakikisha kwamba zile changamoto zimetatuliwa. Na pengine tukizidi miaka ijayo ama wakati mwingine ambapo pengine county ya Kisumu ingetaka kushirikiana na serikali kuu Kuu, kaunti ya Mombasa ama Uasin Gishu, pengine tayari kutakuwa na foundation ambayo inalainisha kwamba vile huo ushirikiano unapaswa kuendelea.
Lakini Nairobi ni ushirikiano ama ni ulumbano?
Sasa ile shida iliyoko pale Gerard,
mnalimana kile unasema ushirikiano. Tusembe bado ukweli bana.
Hata sio kulimana. Ile shida iliyoko pale. Kumbe wakati gavana alikuwa anajadiliana na rais washirikiane kwa sekta kadhaa, kuna watu wachache pale ambao pengine wamekuwa wakiona kwamba hiyo ni opportunity yao sasa kumngatua gavana Sonko afisini. Na ukitizama haiwezekani kupitia mlango wa nyuma. Gavana vile umesema, watu waliamka saa 12 wakapiga kura, na hako pale kwa sababu ya wadhifa ambao wamepatiwa na katiba. Kwa hivyo mbinu za kutoa gavana kwa ofisi pia zinajulikana, ziko wazi kwa katiba. Kwa hivyo watu wengine wachache wakianza kutumia mbinu backdoor, kuanza kujaribu aidha kumdidimiza ama kumtoa kwa ofisi, haitawezekana. Manake ukitizama pia miezi 6 sasa imepita, na kumekuwa na impunity mingi sana ambayo tumekuwa tukishuhudia. Na hizo ndizo lalama ambazo gavana amekuwa nazo. Ukiangalia sheria kuna vile imesema wazi kwamba hata transfer function ikifanyika, kuna vile bajeti zitafanyika, kuna vile kutazidi kukua na uhusiano kati ya serikali kuu na serikali ya county na mambo kama hayo. Lakini unatazama mara mengi kuna watu pale wanafikiria kwamba sasa gavana wamemfurusha kwa ofisi, sasa wanataka kuchukua jiji wafanye vile wanataka. Na gavana yeye, ukitizama kipengele 187(2)(b) ya katiba, iko wazi kwamba hata jukumu ama responsibility ya zile function ambazo zimekuwa transferred inasalia na serikali ambayo ilizitoa. Mwishowe wakati maswali yataanza kuulizwa, be it iwe ni Senate, iwe ni Auditor General, iwe ni Control of Budget, iwe ni Commission for Revenue Allocation, maswali yale yule yatabidi ajibu ni Governor Sonko, manake ndio amepatiwa mamlaka katika Schedule 4 na katiba. Kwa hivyo hao wengine wameingiza vipindi pale, ndio umeona wameleta hiyo itilafu kidogo, lakini tunaendelea kuwatuliza na tunaendelea bado kuwaelimisha sheria.
Your boss has been on record for saying that alipewa kanywaji pale State House. Unajua umesema wakati rais alikuwa anazungumza na Governor Sonko. Lakini Governor Sonko mwenyewe amekuja akasema kuko na mazungumzo, sema aliekewa kitu ndani ndio maana akafanya vile alifanya. Ni ukweli ama what is going on there?
Kwa Kiswahili ni ile ni kama unatoa mfano. Manake
ilikuwa mfano.
Ilifika mahali hata yeye mwenyewe akaanza kushangaa, kwani ile deed ya transfer nilisign ambayo niko nayo copy na ile watu wanatekeleza ni documents tofauti. Manake unapata vitu walianza kufanya zilikuwa kinyume kabisa na ile deed ya transfer ambayo ilikuwa imetolewa. Nikupe mfano. Ukiangalia kwa ile deed ya transfer kuna functions 4 ambazo zili transferiwa kwa national government. Ukiangalia Schedule 4 ya katiba kuna functions 14 za county. Hiyo bado hata hujaongeza department ya finance na economic planning. Lakini ikafika pahali ikawa watu wanataka kuingilia mambo ya finance, wanataka kuingilia mambo ya inspectorate services, wanataka kuingilia mambo ya disaster management, mambo ambayo hayawahusu na mambo ambayo hata hayako katika ile deed ya transfer. Ndipo governor alikuwa anasema kweli inaonekana kuna deed nyingine wale watu ambao wana implement kwa national government wanafuata, ambayo sio ile ambayo anajua yeye aliweka kidole pale State House, na ile ambayo yeye alikuwa ako tayari kutekeleza.
Lakini sasa ndugu yangu Ben, imeonekana kwamba saa zingine kuna handshake. Niliona kulikuwa na handshake juzi. There was an handshake between Governor Sonko and Badi. They had agreed to work together. And there seems to be some fresh conflicts in the county.
Yes.
What's going on at the county? The other day your governor refused to sign the appropriation bill.
Of course, yeah, he can't sign an illegality. And we have also to reach a point where we agree that the rule of law must be respected in this country. We have a government particularly that has demonstrated on very many instances that they are not committed to the rule of law, and I can list a million examples, but I don't want to delve on that. Lakini ile kitu ambayo lazima tukubaliane, unakumbuka kuna bajeti ambayo Speaker Elachi kabla ngatuliwa ofisini alikuwa amepitisha mwezi wa 4 mwaka huu. Haikuwa imefuata ule utaratibu ambao umewekwa katika sheria. It took the intervention of the Attorney General to nullify that budget. Same case now we have. Budget making process iko wazi katika katiba na katika Public Finance Management Act, hata katika County Governments Act inasema kwamba wizara ya fedha ya county itatengeneza proposals na itengeneze ile county fiscal strategy paper, ipeleke kwa bunge waende wajadiliane, kama kuna amendments warejeshe kwa county finance executive, ndipo sasa atengeneze ile finance bill. Lakini sasa what we have here in Nairobi, hiyo process yote ilifuatwa kutoka mwezi wa 4 hadi mwezi huu tarehe 8. Then hata assembly ikaenda retreat Mombasa, hiyo budget committee, budget and
appropriation committee,
appropriations committee wakaenda Mombasa, wakajadiliana, hata tuko na minutes zao, wakajadiliana, wakakubaliana na bajeti. Lakini dakika ya mwisho, hiyo afternoon, hiyo Thursday, pale kwa assembly, ile karatasi ya budget ambayo ilisomwa pale na chairman wa budget committee sio ile members walipitisha Mombasa. Kuna makatezo walimletea budget hapo last minute na yeye akasoma. So members wako hapo wanafikiri ile budget walikuwa wamepitisha last week ndio inasomwa, kumbe ni kitu kingine ambayo imeletwa kutoka kupitia mlango wa nyuma. And that is a fact actually.
Hakuna mtu anachungia mlango wa nyuma, mnaweza mlango wa nyuma. Mjaka mtu hapo.
Round hii lazima tutaweka askari pale. When the budget was brought to the governor, he takes his time to study the budget. Then he realizes hii upuzi ambayo imewekwa hapa sio ile ambayo hata imeambatana na fiscal strategy paper. And you see, hata wao wenyewe si werevu. Manake hiyo budget wakipitisha kitu kama hiyo ambayo haijaambatana na ile county fiscal strategy paper, hata pesa control of budget haizi kuapprove. Manake anatumianga hiyo process. Sio budget sio kitu ati tunakaa tukiwa wawili hapa Gerald tunakubaliana round hii tunataka kujenga gorofa 4 hapa Ngong Road, tuachane na zile project tulikuwa tunafanya Thika Road. That is not how public finance is managed. And that is why even Article 201 of the Constitution is extremely clear in terms of what needs to happen and who is supposed to be involved in the budget making process. So governor alikataa ile budget kulingana na section 24 of the County Governments Act. Akasema yeye ameangalia hiyo bajeti na aka-highlight, hata memorandum yake ime-highlight vizuri wazi zile illegalities zote ambazo walicommit katika hiyo budget making process. Kwa hivyo wamerudisha assembly waende tena waangalie bajeti yao vizuri, wafuate sheria, wapitishe budget, na governor ana shida wakiipitisha vile sheria inasema ataweka mkidole sahihi. Vile unakumbuka ile nyingine wakati ilirudishwa ikanalifiwa na Attorney General, mwisho wa assembly tena walienda wakatengeneza budget mzuri, wakamletea akaweka kidole siku hiyo na ikakuwa gazetted. Kwa hivyo hii kazi ya watu kwenda kujaribu kutapeli watu wa Nairobi ama wakazi wa Nairobi, hiyo haitakubalika. Governor hatakubali.
Mheshimiwa Ikonya, unaonaje entanglement ya Nairobi?
You know, let me tell you the truth. I quite agree na vile my friend hapa anasema, because the budget making process iko clear, very clear. And you see, by the time wafike iletwe kwa governor mwenyewe, you know, he has started from very far. He started with the CIDP, the County Integrated Development Plan, for the 5 years. Then it goes to the 8DP for every single year. Plan. You see, there is a physical strategy paper, you know, where you set ceilings and all those things. So by the time the committee retreats kuangalia budget, so when they bring in the report, and I've seen those things, even kwa bunge yetu, I've seen at one point, mumeenda, mmetengeneza, the committee has sat down, you've agreed, you've signed on the report, but what is read on the floor is totally different. And you see kale kakaratasi ka nyuma mliapen signatures has also been attached with this one. So nimeona hizo ukora. So it is important to do it. If anything goes wrong, who is responsible? Who will answer? It is the governor himself. And again, you see, the control of budget will look at all these documents. Ziko kwake, you know, from the ADP, CIDP, and what have you. So when you bring something for approval, what the control budget will do, niangalie kama inalingana. So kama ilingani, what do you think? What will happen? You not get money. So I think we need to, you know, in as much as we want to play politics around it, we also need to be factual, you know, because these are government processes. Na ule mtu atakuwa responsible at the end of the day if anything goes wrong. Ni Sonko.
The governor.
The governor. Yeah, ndiye tena ndani. So I think we need to have Nairobi sit at a round table, you know, and see, you know, the only handshake that happened during Corona was hiyo ya Badi na Sonko. You know,
alisema tumesikizana sisi mandugu tufanye kazi.
Na wakasalimiana, hiyo ndio walisalimiana tu kwa mkono.
But you see, Mheshimiwa, I need also to make a clarification. A few days, unajua governor yeye mwenyewe amekuwa akijitolea wafanye kazi na washirikiane na NMS.
That is where I was coming to, because
kitu ambayo ilitushock just a few days after Just a few days after hiyo handshake na governor yako shughuli sasa ako tayari kufanya kazi na NMS, akaona Badi ameenda Senate. Badi mwenyewe akasema hiyo handshake ilikuwa ya TV. In his own words, akasema hiyo handshake ilikuwa for the cameras. Then the governor was shocked. He was like, so these guys actually have no good intentions or have no plans of actually working together. So mheshimiwa naendelea.
Yeah, so basically that's what I wanted to say. Sasa, you know, to me, I looked at that thing na nimefuata kidogo. So and I think Governor Sonko had every good intention. Alikuwa anataka washikane wa Nairobi yene mbele. But it seems that the government, the national government through Bandi, pia walitoa groves zile walikuwa wamevaa wakati wa handshake. Sasa wakakuja bare knuckle. So I actually wanted to point to that.
Kalima Ganaben. Kwani uko Kiambu nasikia leo mkombao vile kuliko jana.
No, Kiambu, you're doing well. By the way, speaker.
How are you doing well? Nasikia Nyoro ndio ameweka pipe kubwa ya kuvuruta.
That's a story for another day. But to do what we had issues. We had a lot of issues, you know. Kutoka kwa one governor to another governor, you know, midterm, you know, there are always issues because there are those who walikuwa na support Governor Tito like me. You remember I was the only no in that assembly. Nakumbuka ile vita ilikuwa huko, mimi ndio nilikuwa wano peke yangu. So we had our function and Nyoro had his own function. But you see now the question that we must answer, rather for every politician ama mtu amepatiwa kazi na watu, the question that unajiuliza, unajua mimi am one person who believes, sababu sasa Waititu alienda, unajua mama yako akiolewa na mzee mwingine, sasa lazima uanze kuita huo baba.
So kuita daddy.
Kuita daddy. Hata kama ni mdogo kukuliko, you must now learn to call him daddy. So we have the governor called the members of the county assembly some like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we agreed on a working formula, you know, because we can't keep fighting. We have people to deliver to liawambilia mambo mingi, and we cannot work kwa na vita. So I think as it is right now, Kiambu tuko in the right trajectory na tuko sawa na tunaendelea vizuri. Kwa hivyo hakuna vita Kiambu. Vita tunaisikia Nairobi.
Mnasikia Nairobi. Kina Mulwa ndio wanakanyagana hapa.
Sisi tumekubali tufanye kazi pamoja because I think that is important. In as much as we have political differences, you know, we tunafanyia kazi watu the same people, you know, so we have to come together and tufanyia watu wa Kiambu kazi.
All right. Mulwa, nimeona your boss Governor Sonko has come out fiery with a lot of bombs and ammunitions against the president.
Yes.
What's going on? Is it a difference of ideology? Juzi amemwambia bwana hatukuogopi, tunakuheshimu lakini hatukuogopi.
I think there is a lot of misunderstanding in what the governor is saying. If you look through the history of Governor Sonko, he has always been a person who speaks truth to power. It doesn't matter who you are. And you remember there was a lot of impunity that was going on, especially a lot of aggression against the lower income class citizens of Nairobi when he was an MP in Makadara. And he stood up and he stood out. That was under Mzee Mwai Kibaki when he was president. The governor has continued to stand against injustices of whatsoever form. It doesn't matter. And that's why you remember he led actually the delegation who told off the white man in quotes at The Hague when Uhuru and Ruto were at The Hague. Nobody was bold enough actually to demonstrate in the streets the same way the governor did. So he's somebody who stands up against any form of injustice. It doesn't matter where it is coming from, and it doesn't matter who it is targeting. So in this case, you realize since Badi and NMS came in, there has been a lot of illegal demolitions going on in Nairobi. You remember even Amnesty International and the UN rapporteur even had to write to the government of Kenya complaining about the manner in which these forceful evictions are being undertaken. Article 41 of the Constitution is extremely clear in terms of how these kinds of undertakings should be done within the confines of the law. And what the governor is saying is, and it is true that the fact that he respects the president, it does not mean that he fears him. If the president is wrong, and if the people who surround him are not telling him the truth, then the governor will tell him the truth. The people of Nairobi are suffering. We saw bulldozers being sent to Murukuru kwa Ruben. Somebody called Maina was killed in his house by the government of Kenya while they were demolishing houses. We saw women and children, young babies who are as young as 3 weeks. spending endless nights in Kariobangi and in Kariobangi after the demolitions that were taking place there.
In the midst of a pandemic.
This was in the middle of a pandemic. These are people who could not even travel out of Nairobi. Tuseme mimi nimetoka Makueni na nimebomolewa nyumba. Now I could not even travel out of Nairobi. So that was extremely insensitive of the government. And what the governor is saying is that he has a constitutional mandate, and he was given that mandate by the people of Nairobi as per Article 179 of the Constitution. And he's not just going to sit down while people's lives are being destroyed just because a government needs to undertake projects. What is more important? Is it a railway line, or is it a road, or is it a sewerage system, or the lives of the people? So the governor is saying these demolitions need to be undertaken in a humane manner. Like he keeps giving examples. The county government of Nairobi currently is constructing houses, easy low-cost houses, pale Pangani. But the governor, instead of the traditional way people have been doing it, munakuja mnabomolewa tu manyumba mnawatoa, the governor called the residents to City Hall. They had consultative meetings, wakakubaliana, he compensated them. Actually, each of the families was given 600,000 shillings. Then for them to go
600K?
Yes, 600,000 shillings. Each family, there were about 43 families. Waende watafute makao temporary, ndio nyumba zijengwe, zikikamilika, they are the ones actually to be given top priority to occupy those houses. Na mjengo inaendelea, na watu walitoka kwa amani, hakukuwa na mvutano. Wakati alikuwa anajenga Karandini, soko ya Karandini iko pale Dagoretti, kulikuwa na wale wachuuzi walikuwa wanafanya kazi pale. He actually picked those traders, he constructed a temporary market for them opposite the road, along Gong Road. Wamekaa pale, soko sasa imekamilika, now they're ready to come back. So the governor is saying the same way, you remember the specific example he used. If we have money for funny things like BBA and all that, then we should also have money to compensate these people and facilitate them to relocate in a humane manner. Sio kwenda kuamka kugongea watu manyumba. Ukiona yale machozi juzi wa mama walikuwa wanatoa pale Dagoretti, ati railway ndio inabomoa manyumba ama kule kwingine imefanyika. It is not right. That's the truth. It is not right. So si ati ni governor ati ameamulia rais president. Nothing like that. If the people are lying to the president that he can do that kind of things and get away with them, then the governor will tell him the truth. He will tell him, my elder brother, you are wrong on this one. The government has money, compensate these people, facilitate them to relocate, then we can put up all this infrastructure. Everybody wants development in Nairobi, but it must not be done at the expense of human life. Yes.
Last question before I throw it to Ikonya. The question is, why did Mike Sonko hand over functions? He ran for governor, he knew he was very capable to run the county government. At what point did he find himself incapable?
Not incapable, by the way. And I want to give you this one you can put on the record. If you look through the reports from the Auditor General, from the Controller of Budget, from the Senate, and all those institutions that are tasked to oversight devolution, you will agree, if we were on a fair scale of activities, it is the Nairobi City County government that should have taken over the national government. I'm telling you the truth. Let me tell you. And
explain.
And these are facts. If you look at the transformation that Governor Sonko was able to undertake in Nairobi in under 2 years, before the cartels realized that this guy is even overshadowing his boss, I'm telling you, this country would be very far if people committed. And I'll give you specific examples. Like markets in Nairobi. For a very long time, mostly over 40 years, our traders, wamama wa mboga wamekuwa wakiuza mboga pale kwa matope. Hata juzi nimeona picha ilikuwa kwa Daily Nation, ikiwa imeonyesha picha ya wamama wakiuza mboga pale Muthurwa, wameketi kwa matope. And you know, that has been the state of our markets for a very long time. Within 2 years, Governor Sonko has been able to build more than 4 markets that are currently able to accommodate over 15,000 traders. In 2 years. The last fire station in Nairobi to be constructed was in 1907. In 2 years, Governor Sonko has been able to put up 4 new fire stations in Nairobi because the population of the city has continued to grow, and at the same time, public amenities have not been growing to match that population. If you look at roads and infrastructure, for example, the previous administration in 5 years constructed only 17 kilometers in Nairobi. In under 2 years, Governor Sonko was able to do more than 150 kilometers of roads in Nairobi. Today, I can assure you, sasa unaona hii maeneo, unajua huku ni wanasemanga huku ni kwa mababi, kwa matajiri, where we are. But saizi ukienda Eastlands, Umoja, Kayole, especially Donholm, those areas, in fact, they have better roads than we have in Westlands or any other, most of these other places. The reason is he realized that there is a section of this city that has been left behind in development for a very long time. So I angalia in healthcare, before Governor Sonko came into office, Pumwani Maternity Hospital was a death trap. Wamama walikuwa, mama mjamzito akifikiria napelekwa Pumwani, hata afadhali azalie kwa nyumba. Then he transformed that facility into an international standard facility until Badi came in, and now we saw a woman giving birth on the road. Those are facts that you can prove. So what Governor Sonko did, because Uhuru has been his friend for a long time, and the constitution provides for a partnership between a county. So
it was a friendship deal.
Just a moment. There is a provision in the constitution for the county government to partner with the national government, as provided for under Article 187. So Governor Sonko wakati alifanya evaluation of what actually is needed in Nairobi, and I'll tell you like the roads infrastructure, because many people have been complaining about roads. Today, the Nairobi County government is allocated 15.9 billion shillings by the national government. Yet our wage bill per year is about 14 billion shillings. If we are not collecting our own revenue, which is usually about 10 billion shillings, and this year tangu KRA wachukue pia, revenue imeshuka chini, now we have collected 8.4 billion shillings. If Nairobi was not collecting their own revenue, own source revenue, we would be working with 1 billion shillings to do all these other things the residents of Nairobi want. On the flip side, CS Macharia pale kwa national government has over 400 billion shillings for infrastructure development. So governor akaona, wakipartner na national government, then there will be a possibility that besides the 15 billion shillings we are receiving from the national government, we can also seek for more funding, or now the national government can invest more. Hata tuseme leo CS Macharia amue, out of this 400 billion shillings, I want to invest another 10% of my budget into Nairobi. That would be 40 billion shillings. That 40 billion shillings can transform infrastructure in Nairobi. Kumbe nao watu hawakuwa na nia ya kujenga Nairobi. Wao walikuwa wameona mbinu ya kuanza kuhangaisha governor, kuanza kumzungusha, ni kama walimu appoint kwa ofisi. He was elected by the people, and that is where the problem is, because the governor had good intentions in coming up with this arrangement with the national government, but much later he realized that the people who are behind or who are given the task by the president not only to draft but to implement that deed of transfer had no good intentions at all, and that is why we are where we are today. Yes.
All right, that's quite interesting. So unajua alisema unajua kuna analogy we used.
Yes.
Ya kwamba mlisema building capacity in the country. So tukasema tukauliza swali, unajua hizo zingine unaweza kuja nikwambie Ben.
Nikupatie example mzuri. Tuseme leo hii mimi sina uwezo wa pengine kununua mabasi 200 niweke kwa barabara leo. Lakini naweza enda pale chini ninunue matatu moja, ni team up na North Rift. Sasa ninajua niki team up na North Rift, my matatu will be able to enjoy brand recognition, na itakuwa ina organized framework ama sako ingine yoyote, ama niweke kwa Kenya bus. Lakini sasa ukiweka ka shuttle kako kamoja peke yako hii town, kafike Ngong na karudi CBD na kaende Kayole karudi tena, si utakuwa umehangaika
sana.
The operating cost will be very high.
Kuna mtu analeta very good.
Our plan, our thinking was this kind of partnership would enable now the national government to inject more funding into Nairobi so that we can see development. But now what we are seeing is a circus. Hata hiyo pesa ya mishahara kama saizi hiyo budget walikuwa wametengeneza, they have actually removed all the money from early childhood development. What they are saying, starting January next year, Badi wants all the school kids in Nairobi, which is a population of close to 500,000, au watoto wote waache kwenda shule ati kwa sababu anataka kwenda kujenga manyumba zake ama mahospitali huko Mukuru kwa Yaba. You know, it does not make sense. So until they demonstrate goodwill on their part, governor ataendelea kuambia ukweli na atasimama na mwananchi, and he still retains the constitutional mandate. Yeye atafanya kazi yake vile katiba imemweleza.
Lakini vile naona Ben, kama hii kitu imeenda, lakini either kuna mtu analeta a very good analogy, mheshimiwa Ikonya.
Yes.
Alikuja akasema, unajua za zingine wanaume anaweza kuja kuambia Ikonya yenyewe kwa nyumba generator ni mbaya. kwambie Ikonya nisaidie ku build capacity. Badala mtume kwa Masai, unaambia kuna Masai anakuanga na miti shamba hapo, unakuja kusema let me manage the bedroom affairs. So that's what happened in Nairobi County. The person was supposed to build the capacity has taken over the bedroom. Anyway, it's a state of affairs. So Ben has mentioned mambo ya BBI. Are you ready?
There's quite a lot happening. Na mimi nisema mambo ya BBI. One, the stage is being set for BBI, and I'm sure probably the president will mention something today. But mimi nikuambia from the onset, mambo ya BBI, I disagree with that report. I may not have seen the report, but imekuwa preempted na politicians. That we can tell. But again, I can tell you, we do not expect something that is far off from what we had in Bomas. It's more or less the same document. Jana, we saw something very interesting. Watu sasa wameanza kukunya ngumi. We saw the likes of Iguru and those women called what they embrace, saying we now need to, if we are going to support the BBI, then it's no longer 30, it is now 50-50. Saying if the governor is a woman, then is a man, then it has to be the deputy has to be a woman. Kama speaker ni mwanaume, deputy speaker. So they say it clearly, if you're supporting this thing, it has to be 50-50. What am I telling you? Is that this thing is causing more division as to bringing people together. Hii idea ya handshake na hii idea ya BBI, to me, I quite disagree. Let me tell you a few things. One, mahali Kenya imefika, if we want to solve problems, I think the biggest problem we have now is we're in an economic crisis. We have had people who've lost their jobs. 1.7 million poteza kazi yao. We are now in the surge of a second wave. That's what we've been told, COVID-19. And yet we are now telling people we now need to go out there and campaign for
second wave of COVID or second wave of money. That's very relative.
To some is of COVID, but you see, we are being told it's there, and we're being told there are people like 38 or 39 people who are critically ill and in ICU na hizo mambo zote. But BBI, the question is BBI coming to cure the problems that Kenyans have? I will tell you no. You see, the carrot they want to dangle, and especially to the counties. They're telling us counties tutawaletea pesa mingi. You know, that doesn't need a document like BBI. They're telling us we are now going to give you a ward development fund. Ward development fund, the other day we saw it in the Senate. Sikaro Irungo Kakata alikuwa ameileta, mbona wakupitishia huko? Most of the things that are contained in that document, ideally, let me tell you something, it's just supposed to dangle carrot hapa na pale. The main thing is to tengeneze viti za watu fulani pale juu. And where we are today, the conversation should be having, that money that we intend to use with BBI is the money that should now be cautioning the economy with. Sasa watu Nairobi hii na umeambiwa hapa, watu wamepoteza kazi. Hii sahi watu kukula ni shida. And then unawaambia unawaletea BBI ati uwaunganishe nini?
Exactly.
Amesema mtapendana zaidi na BBI.
Tupendane namna gani? You know, it has caused us more division. Let me tell you
mtapendana zaidi.
We elected a government that we believed in, that had a set of... And let me take you a little bit back. The reason why we have campaigns is so that every candidate, kama ni wa president, unakuja na manifesto yako, na agenda zako, na unaambia watu, this is exactly what I want to do for Kenyans. This is what I want to do, 1, 2, 3, 4 things. And walikuja wote. Raila Amolo Odinga in this coalition came, Jubilee came, wakapatia Kenya's manifesto. Finally, watu wa Kenya wakasema, we want Jubilee. Na manifesto yake, na itatufanyia kazi. A year or two down the line comes the handshake. You know? So ule mtu tulikuwa nasema ni mbaya, ule mtu tulikuwa, and let me tell you something, I believe like Ben has told us here, in the rule of law. Because we do not need to change this constitution if we do not respect what we already have.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because ideally, what I'm telling you is, the law is very clear. We have seen, look at what, for example, Governor Mike Soko is going through, and so many other Kenyans. Whereas we had a person who saw himself in. Aka mchana, na hakuna mahali alipelekwa, na kwa inti hii. So lakini mtu kama mimi ama mtu mwingine akifanya kitu kidogo, jaribu uone. So basically what I'm telling you is we first of all need to fully utilize what we have before we bring ourselves another set of laws and that kind of thing. Kenyans are united. Kenyans are together. We only need to respect the law. Ujue ukishindwa unaenda nyumbani. Because idea hata tukiweka viti ngapi pale juu, na mtu mmoja akuje akatae even in the next general election nasema hapana, naende kwa streets, tutakuwa tumesolve nini?
Hakuna kitu kitakuwa solution.
Yes, because the problem is they are now purporting kusema ati sasa tutaweka mambo ya coffee pale, tutaweka mambo ya majani chai pale, ya sijui ya farming ya nini, hizo vitu zote. We have the National Assembly that is supposed to be doing all those things. If we wanted to help Kenyans in the tea sectors, we would have done that a million years ago or a long time ago, because we have parliament, we're supposed to register it. So we do not need the BBI to come and help us. do what parliamentarians ought to be doing or the Senate ought to be doing. Kwa hivyo hii mambo yote tunapelekwa around hivi tu ndio tutengeneze vitu fulani za watu fulani pale.
Na watu wasonge.
Hizi vitu zingine zote they're just dangling the carrots ndio watu wakuja wa support. Ati we are giving you a word development fund. Mbona wakangata walikataa? Na ilikuwa hapo. Now women are demanding. So everybody will keep demanding that BBI has to give us this.
We also need to make, after this we need to make our demands as well. Ben Mulwa, juzi Kibisho alisema BBI mutapewa kama dawa ya polio. Ile unafinywa hapa kwanza unaambiwa meza. What do you think about this thing? The whole saga of BBI.
Gerald, I want to speak as a Kenyan. And the one thing that we have to agree is that this country is bigger than any individual. This country has been longer here than everybody who is here. And this country will be here many, many years after we are all gone. So it really disturbs me when I see the kind of arrogance that some public officials decide to speak to fellow Kenyans. When you're in a public office, you are actually there courtesy of Kenyans, and you are there to carry the aspirations of Kenyans, not to dictate selfish ambitions or selfish persuasions that are of no value to anybody. When somebody arrogantly tells Kenyans that they are going to give BBI kama dawa ya polio, we have seen very many of his type before who are even more powerful than he was and he will ever be, and they are not there anymore, and life has gone on. My advice to my senior brother Karanja Kibisho would be he needs to find time and even go spend a week or two listening to the real people of Kirinyaga, even before he starts making noise on press conferences, and realize that some of these things that they are insisting on pursuing are completely out of touch with the real aspirations of Kenyans. Kenyans today are facing very difficult times after the COVID-19 pandemic. Many people have lost their businesses, millions have lost their jobs. You saw even the report by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics recently that currently we have over 11 million people who lost their jobs just under this pandemic. Now, these are the things that I would expect somebody, if he was coming back and saying that we are going to give you jobs like dawa ya polio, it would make sense to me. If Kibisho angekuja aseme we are going to give you food kama dawa ya polio, for me it would make sense.
Absolutely.
But to start intimidating Kenyans over things that are of the least bother to any of these Kenyans. I am not interested in the paperwork anybody in any government office is trying to come up with. Every Kenyan today is struggling to make sure that now angalia watoto sasa wameambiwa mara wanarudi shule, kesho warudi, kesho kutwa watarudi. Parents now are depressed because they have not been making in money over the last 1 year, and they have kids who are in school. These kids will require school fees, they will require other necessities. So those are the concerns. Angekuwa Kibisho anasema nitapatia watoto wenu face masks wakirudi shule kama dawa ya polio, it would make sense. But this idea of pursuing things that don't make sense to 90% of Kenyans is really misplaced. And I can assure you, we, as I've said, we have seen many of his type before. They were 15 million times more powerful than he is, or he thinks he is. And Kenya will be here beyond Kibisho and beyond BBI and beyond the petty shenanigans. What we need to be focusing on is a genuine and a sound economic platform or pursuit that can really begin now to transform the lives of the average Kenyans. If that document was matched by goodwill and not the political chicanery we have been seeing and good political intentions, then Kenyans would have no problem supporting the process. But as Mheshimiwa has asked, we have a very good constitution. For example, I have highlighted the cases of impunity that have been going on in Nairobi, where demolitions are undertaken without following the law. So if we can't follow the constitution that we have today, What would make Wanjiku out there believe that now if we come up with a different document, then the same people who are perpetuating impunity will begin to respect that document? You see, societies are not made by pronouncements and are not made by documents and laws. Societies are made by culture, by ethos, and by a different way of doing things. So what we currently need is for these people who are shouting at Kenyans instead of speaking to Kenyans to come to Kenyans and demonstrate to them that indeed they have goodwill, they have done this bit for this number of years, and that's why they want to take the country to the next level. But just shouting at Kenyans and dictating to Kenyans, hii Kenya ni wa Kenya milioni
someone told me a very interesting thing. Someone told me a very interesting thing. He told me, look, government is a young man. What do you call a government is a young man, and that man has forever remained young. So people have come and gone, you know. Just like you mentioned, we have seen the likes of Biwot, who are a million times powerful, you know. You can name them. They've been there, they've been in government, and they've gone. They've left government. So do not just stamp and talk to Kenyans. Talk to them slowly. And if you want to sell a narrative, ideally what you do is you speak nicely to people, convince them, show them this is the way, this is what we're supposed to do. We've done this bit, we need to do this a bit. That is the way you persuade people into something, but not just stamp on them, you know. Because the idea, you know, the worst thing and what I get angry over is that government has machinery. You know, it owns every machinery. I do not know who advises this government, because to me, I think in as much as we would have, let's even assume that there's so many good things within that BBI report. I'll tell you, in this life, if you lose on something called timing,
you're done.
You lose everything. Actually, life is about timing. You need to know when to do what. You know? So I think BBI is an idea whose time is wrong. You know, so it may be a good concept to them, but the timing is very wrong. So they ought to have told the president the truth, that when you go out there, when you listen to people, the things they want, you know, they're looking for an economic, you know, we're looking for peace. We want to bring people together. I think the peace that people need is economic peace. Because there's no way you would be happy if you have nothing in your pocket. We're looking for economic peace. So what joins all of us together? What cuts across every Kenyan is that we're in an economic crisis that the government needs to purge. So basically what the conversation should be around economic policies as a country, that we need to, I told you, rather, we were treated to a conversation by the CS in charge of health, Mutahi Kagwe, yesterday. He was telling us how bad things are and where we're getting ourselves into. And he actually even pointed out to a possibility of locking a few counties. So that tells you that this country is going to plunge deeper in an economic crisis. I read in the paper the other day that this country is now where we were in 1972 in terms of economically where we are. We're in a big hole. You know, we've borrowed money, you know, so we're struggling. So we do not need to add Kenyans more burdens in terms of bringing them a document and using billions. And someone there says, tunaweza tumia bilioni mbili. Do you know how much 2 billion is? Do you know what if that is injected into the economy, if that is given to these young men in these streets to revamp their businesses, to come back to business, inaweza wasaidia sana. So the conversation should be, let them wait for some other time. I am saying, if we must do this thing, can we wait for 2022? Can those questions be set so that if when you go to vote, then we vote alongside those questions that they want us to answer? But the timing is totally wrong.
Mtakufanya hiki 2022 elections.
Hata kama ni 2023 na uko na nini, but the priority right now to Kenyans is an economic conversation that we must have as a country.
So you're trying to say you okay with BBI, but not now?
I am not saying I'm okay with BBI. Okay. I am simply saying is
the conversation is wrong.
The conversation is wrong. What we need to be conversing around here are economic policies. What is it that we're going to do? Just like he's alluded to, we do not know where we are. Our kids at home. I have got 3 girls. One has gone back to school, who is in grade 4. The other 2 are in I just don't know what is going to happen tomorrow. I don't know whether schools are going to happen because cases are going up. I don't know whether we're going to open schools, which again is a difficult thing to do. I was in KIAMBU Primary yesterday. I went to KIAMBU High School. KIAMBU Primary has got over 300 grade 4 students and about over 400 class 8 students. They have occupied the entire school out of social distancing. Actually, the entire schools, if the other populace of the school comes back, the other classes, they need 72 more classes.
72.
Wow.
72 more classes. Infrastructure. There was a deadline of today of government supplying desks to all primary schools in the country. They are saying they're not able to. Give us 2 more weeks. So we are not ready as a country to roll out that infrastructure. So where are we? You see, so that's what I'm telling you. The conversation we need to be having sahi, we talk, ni mambo ya pesa. Vile tutaweka pesa kwa mifuko ya Wakenya. Hapo tutaanza kuongea. Lakini mambo ya kutuambia to expand hapa sijui tufanye nini. And let me tell you something. You know, we're being lied to. You know, when you're told that we will get, for example, a narrative I've had people peddle, ati tutachukua cabinet secretaries from bunge, hataongezewa mshahara, watakuwa kilipo ile. You know, to government officials, it's never about a salary. It's about allowances that comes with it. So unaweza ambiwa sitakulipa mshahara. By the way, let me tell you something. There are so many government people today, if you tell them we are now going to do away with your salary, watasema haina shida. They do not even know ilikuja banks kugani. The allowances that comes around that office, the traveling allowance, the nini hizo allowance zote, mpaka za China nini, are way much more than the salary.
Absolutely.
So they don't care whether you're going to stop your salaries or not.
So what we Kenyans will be is a carrot that is being dangled to us so that tukubali hapa sijui tunaambua MCAs wakubali juu watapatiwa World Development Fund, watajaribu. What will happen to our women if we are not able to, the parliament was not able to pass the 2/3 gender rule? How will BBI be able to realize that?
BBI itakwama.
So we need to show goodwill to begin with, you know. Yes.
Kabla hatujasonga. Ben Mulwa.
Yes.
Twende shule, corona inakuja. They are telling us your children are safe to go back to school, but now we are expecting a second wave of coronavirus and we might lock down the country. Where is the common sense in administration?
One of the major challenges that we have as a country is that we have people in government who spend too much time talking rather than doing anything. COVID-19 has been with us here since March. It is very unfortunate that almost 10 months down the line, Professor Magoha has nothing to show for what the Ministry of Education has done to prepare schools since they were closed in March. All we have been seeing is him shouting at Kenyans, as I was saying. Mara hii, mara ile, mara ingine. And we can't run a country like that. As Mheshimiwa here is pointing out. Like, I'll give you a specific example here in Nairobi. The government refused to support private schools, which accommodate a very huge population of children, simply because we have a dysfunctional public education system. Now, like in Kibra alone, Olympic Primary School currently has a population of over 4,000 kids. 4,000. Yeah. Most of the kids who are going to private schools within Kibra, those private schools collapsed completely because now they didn't get any support from government and they closed. So now Magoha is telling kids to go back to school, and now the parents are taking their kids back to the private schools. Those schools were unable to sustain themselves. They closed. Now we have thousands of kids in Kibra who are stranded. When they go to Olympic Primary School, as Mheshimiwa is saying, even now the school as it is structured with the new guidelines cannot even accommodate the 4,000 kids. Perhaps there needs to be an infrastructural revolution at Olympic Primary to be able to accommodate those
100 more classes.
Maybe 100 new classes, which the ministry has done nothing for the last 8-9 months to address. So what we are staring here is innocent Kenyans being punished by incompetence and disorganization in critical government departments. Because by this time, I mean a whole year, because basically it is a whole year. This is a whole academic year that has gone to waste. If the ministry had embarked on focusing on the actual task rather than the sideshows, then we would be very far away as we speak today. if they had taken time even to study what has been going on in other countries, then you would have realized by now they could have done a lot better. We have a case whereby billions of shillings have been borrowed by this government in the last few months in the name of mitigating the impact of COVID-19. Part of that mitigation should have gone either to infrastructural development and enhancing the capacity of these schools to be able to accommodate our children. So what we have here is now innocent Kenyans are being punished by the people who are supposed to be providing them with solutions. The same government that is telling you to take your kids back to school is the same government that is telling you that there's a bad wave, a second wave of COVID-19, which is coming. So as a sensible parent, what are you going to do? Will you allow your child to go to school? Yet the same government is showing you that the numbers are going up again, and that there is a possibility of your child catching the disease and even dying in school. You will not risk the life of your child because of disorganization in government. So what needs to be addressed very urgently, and it is not these funny things they are talking about, whether it is BBI or whatever it is. What needs to be addressed urgently is the incompetence that we are being treated to from critical government departments that are putting millions of lives of Kenyans on the line. Let people do their work. Let people quit the cheap politics, because we have continued to see a lot of back and forth between the ministry and the teachers and the union and all these things. And all these things are not adding any value to the 8-year-old kids or the 9-year-old kids who are in grade 4. These kids just want to be sure that if they are going back to school, they are safe, and the parents just want that assurance. There are sufficient resources that were mobilized. If you look at the rate of borrowing that this country has done since April this year, those billions of shillings, and we are talking about desks that have not been delivered yet at a cost of about, was it 1.9 billion shillings?
1.9 billion.
Yeah, 1.9 billion shillings. Yet over the same period, we have borrowed in excess of 300 billion shillings. So the question is, where is this money going? Because the average mama mboga has not received a boost to buy a new supply of cabbage from Kinangop. Mtu wa maziwa hajanipata stock ya kuongeza ng'ombe ama kupeleka ng'ombe kwa dawa. Matatu hawajapata any support.
There's no trickle down effect.
Yeah, so we need to quit these large conversations that are happening, especially within people who are not in touch with the reality. And wazungumze na mwananchi wa kawaida. Like today, when you're telling people about huduma number and all those things, yet as a parent, I'm worried if I return my kid to school today, tuseme is a candidate ako form 4, nitatoa school fees wapi, nitatoa hiyo pesa ingine inahitajika vitu zingine shuleni wapi? You know, those are the conversations that Kenyans expect to be. Yeah, no, not hii mambo ingine mingi haisaidii. Ni masinemare.
I saw in the nation that this week, yes. You know, I don't know, Kenya. You know, we were told we're going to give you a tax holiday and we're going to give you an interest holiday. And people went to their banks. Were told, go back to your banks, talk to them, because now COVID has come. Allow them to they'll give you time, you know. So they'll give you a holiday for like about 6 months or thereabout. Then you will get back to paying your loan. Only for Kenyans to realize that that period they have not been paid. There has been an interest that has been, you know, we took the government's word that we are enjoying some interest holiday in that country.
You're on a break.
Yes. Lirudi ukakuta.
Ulisikia wapi?
So that is what Kenyans have been treated. So basically, we need to look at those real issues affecting the common mwananchi. These are shenanigans. To me, doesn't make sense. That issue that my friend Ben here was addressing, the issue of COVID and school kids, I think we were not even prepared to open schools in the first place. Because, let me ask, I want to ask ourselves, we have had conferences where governors have come on board with the president, wakiulizana kama wako tayari. What has the national government done to help counties mitigate? What are the counties doing? How do you expect counties to survive when you cannot agree on a formula for a few months down the line, where counties have suffered for 4 months, 4 months, without even people being paid? Kiambu Hospital sasa ndio watarudi sijui kuanzia leo ama kesho, because that is when now the salaries have come. The same government that is telling us turudi shule wamesimama na wamekataa na mshahara ya watu. Sasa watu hawaendi, I mean hospitali zimesimama, and they're telling us go back to they've taken our kids back to school. What happens? I was asking myself jana, we've not no activities have been happening in Kiambu Hospital for a couple of weeks now, and we've opened schools. What if we get cases in Kiambu Primary, for example, and the nearest facility is Kiambu Hospital? Penye sasa hakuna daktari sababu watu wajalipwa. What would happen in such a case? So we need to get real. We need to have a real conversation as opposed to easy mambo za hapa kule. Yes.
Alright. Ben Mulwa, sheria juzi zilitolewa kuhusu mikutano za kisiasa, political meetings, by Kenya. First of all, the constitutionality of NSAC has been put to task. We are saying it's not a constitutional body that actually should be advancing security of the nation. What's your general feeling about the rules that are given out by government?
Personally, I wouldn't want to delve much into such pronouncements, but we have to agree that the supreme law of this country is the Constitution of Kenya. And the Constitution of Kenya grants very elaborate rights and freedoms to Kenyans. And those freedoms can only be taken away by amending the same constitution, not by letters that are written by government officers. One major problem that we have is for many years we have had cases of the selective application of the law, and that is actually what Mheshimiwa was pointing out here. Whereby I'll give you even a closer home example. Like there has been this farce or a facade called the war on corruption in this country. But you find that that particular hammer tends to be directed more to people who are perceived to be of the opposite political inclination, rather than wholesomely and objectively. And what we end up with is very skewed ways of doing things. It is counterproductive for somebody to say that political meetings have been banned or have been suspended in this particular manner, and then the following day you see somebody from their own inner circle or inner sanctum hosting a political delegation. It speaks of dishonesty, which I think is very unfortunate when it comes from government. As I said earlier, power is extremely transient. Even before we had very powerful fellas in that particular office serving as a head of civil service, even from people like Akina Nyachai, and you can visit them today and they can give you wisdom. So let people stop getting excited, especially when the president's term is only at its sunset. He has less than 2 years actually to vacate office. My proposal would be people need to trade very carefully. You see, Kenyans have been aggrieved, especially by these kinds of intimidation from government for a very long time. And naturally or psychologically, it reaches a point whereby societies rise up against any forms of tyranny. And especially when their fundamental rights are aggrieved or are being deprived arbitrarily. And that's why I would suggest that these people need to be very careful in terms of the kinds of things they're saying. In my view, their desks should be very full with very important things, like how they are going to help Kenyans survive this pandemic, and how they are going to turn around an economy that has been completely battered. The economy was already in very bad shape before COVID-19, and COVID-19 came in like the last nail into the coffin. In my thinking, those are the things that should be bothering these people. And believe you me, if they were doing the right things, then they would not be worried about who is meeting who where. because you see, performance is you cannot hide performance under the table. You cannot, if you are shining a bright light, even if you cover it with a blanket, somebody will be able to see still.
There's a beam
light.
somewhere.
There is a beam that is coming up. So these people should stop covering their incompetence and their ineptitude with pronouncements or with strategies to intimidate Kenyans. I watched a video of a shushu that went viral. I don't know where that shushu was captured.
From Nakuru.
And yes, from Nakuru. And this shushu actually spoke until I was shocked. And one thing that she said that these people who are coming up with all this manner of things should pay attention to. Alisema kwamba hakuna wajinga tena Kenya. So Kenyans, there is a shortage of fools in this country.
Until we get to the ballot, you will find a lot of them.
Well, I can't say that, because you see, nobody has ever held a gun over anybody's head to go and vote for Mheshimiwa IKONYA or Uhuru or Sonko or Raila or anybody. Hakuna mtu ashaishikia mwingine bunduki kwa kichwa.
And that's the beauty of democracy.
Yeah, that's the beauty. So the same democracy we must be able to respect. If I want to hold a meeting today with Gerald here and Mheshimiwa IKONYA and 3 other people, then it should not be the business of Kinywa to tell us now we can't hold that meeting because what we are discussing is not very palatable to him.
His appetite is not your business.
The same way they sat in a meeting and came up with those proposals is the same way they should allow other people also to sit somewhere else and come up with their own proposals, and Kenya moves forward. That is the spirit of democracy.
Na Kenya inasonga.
Na Kenya itasonga. Lakini kazi ya kwanza kuintimidate watu na kushurutisha watu, kutoa vitisho, hizo vitisho tumeziona mingi.
Hapa huko.
Kutoka the 1960s, zilikuwa zingine za 70s, zilikuwa za 80s, za 90s, na bado zingine hata zinatolewa the year 2020. Na Kenya itasonga tu, hata 2030 itatupata hapa, wengine
Kenya bado itakuwa hapa.
Itakuwa inasonga tu. Kwa hivyo they should tread very carefully some of those things.
Let me throw
as I give it to you, Ikonya, bunge la mwananchi iko wazi. Bunge la mwananchi is open. 0779-800-010 or 779-800-010. You can call in and contribute to what is going on the show. Naona kuna watu tayari wameanza kupiga. Ndachukua simu 0779-800-010. Acha nikupe Mheshimiwa Ikonya. Sasa tunasubiri simu ikiingia tutavuruta.
So I was throwing in a very quick one. You know what Kenya did?
Wacha tuchukue hii kwanza alafu. Hello. Hello, good morning. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello, Gerard.
Yes, good morning.
Morning too.
Tuambie dadi.
This is James Njema calling from Mombasa.
James Njema.
Pande ya Mtwapa hapa. Tumepigwa sana na uchumi, and all we are seeing our readers hapo juu, mimi kwa BBI. Naona ni kutafutia tu viti watu wachache. They don't understand the real problems we are facing as Kenyans. And on a lighter note about Uhuru, I think he is also trying to cling to power. There is no way every time he talks about unity. What unity are we seeing? It's all about division in this country. Kila siku. They should let the Hustler movement hold their meeting. This is the only way we are going to end tribalism. Yesterday I was talking to a friend from a different tribe, and we were saying this will be the end of tribalism. Hustler movement versus dynasty. Thank you very much.
Asante sana ndugu yangu. Anapiga brief to the point. Asante sana, thank you so much, Java. You say something.
What Kenya did in this group, they only sat and read the Public Code Act, Section 5 of Public Code Act. There is nothing much they did. And I must tell you that we've had the Public Code Act for some time now. So when government have been holding meetings without giving notice of 3 days, this thing has existed in law for some time. And I think that is why the Law Society of Kenya went to court. Because as my brother here alluded to, is that what is supreme is the Constitution. And we have a set of the Bill of, in the Bill of Rights. And any law that is that is not in tandem with the Constitution should be declared null and void, and should be So basically, I think what the Public Order Act stipulates, it was brought out at this point in time so that it curtails someone. It was not in the best interest of government, because you cannot derive that conversation from what happened in Muranga, while we knew the government pulled policemen at last minute. You know, policemen that were supposed to protect the lives of Kenyans, to policemen, you know, tear gas people in church. A police officer walks in church and picks a microphone and tells people to, at their place of worship, where in a country where everybody has a right of worship, tells people to just move out. You know, that impunity by government cannot be cured by reading Public Order Act. You know, and as Ben here told you, is that the following day after that pronouncement, we saw a set of some purported Kikuyu Council of Elders, and I can tell you, me, I am from that community, and I am also an elder. I can tell you, I've never seen my elders line up for tea, and line up for
bread and soda.
For bread and soda, and not even just like a small soda. You see the small plastic sodas. Those are not my elders. My elders take meat, serious meat. So so basically, they never give a notice to anyone. You know, so that was just read out to curtail someone, and we all know, you know, what is happening. We are not blind to what is happening in this country. But that selective application of justice, to me, is the most unfortunate thing at this day and age. Actually, what we've been fighting for in this, as a country, we've come from far, fighting for only one thing: freedom of speech, freedom of movement, freedom of allow people to meet and discuss things, allow people to meet and come up with what they think are solutions. In as much as you're given, you know, government is allowed to do its own things and, you know, sit where they want and come up with whatever they want. That is what we've been fighting for as Kenyans. Allow us also to go out there and set our agenda, to meet, to discuss, you know. So basically, that's where the conversation should be. The caller who just, with the call that we've just had, what the caller is trying to tell Kenyans is, by the way, what the Deputy President is doing, if you ask me, or most of us are doing, is to heed to what the President is calling out to all of us to do, to unite as a country. So when you want to unite a country, then you must look for elements that would allow us to have a common conversation. And I think that's where the hustling thing is coming. Because what cuts across all of us is that all of us are hustling. You know? Let me tell you something. You know, I tell people, you need to expound on this thing called hustling. Because most of the people you see driving on Kenyan roads, go along KIAMBU Road. I'll take you there. Their yards, the auctioneers, they're full, my friends. Yards, the auctioneers, Ben, ziko full sahi. Why? Because those people we purport are doing well. Kenyans, hizi gari unaona Nairobi, over 80% hizi gari unaona Nairobi ni za kukopwa, watu wanalipa loan, biashara ndio hiyo imeisha. So they are also hustlers as much as they're driving. So the conversation we're having as a country, ni what should join us as a country and what should unite us is when we develop economic policies that are going to cushion us as a people. That is the only way you can unite this country.
All right. Good morning.
Hello, good morning, Gerald.
Good morning to you, sir.
This is Sami Meli.
Yes, Sami Meli.
Yes, habari ya mahasla in the house.
Salimika.
Yes, what I'm enjoying all the discussions that are going on in the house, and I wish to concur with the first caller.
Yes.
That this country, the way we are being driven, we are going back to the old constitution. Why can't they just put aside the 2010 constitution and go back to the Moi constitution?
Absolutely.
Because right now, we have worked so hard to go back to the Moi constitution. Now, sasa wao venye wanaharibu katiba hivi, how will they feel when it becomes now Ruto implementing what themselves have put in the constitution? Because now we will also have to use that Public Order Act to deal with them also.
The merry-go-round.
Kama umepika ugali bwana, unakanyaga sufuria, yet the next person is on duty, is the next person's turn to cook. Atakupikia tu na hiyo sufuria ulikanyaga ukavunja.
So kila mtu achunge sufuria akipata akiwa na nafasi yake.
Achunge hii sufuria. Alafu I want to say one thing the president is practicing is what we call cowardice.
Absolutely.
How in this world, Gerald, if you have an assistant in your office down there, yes, na anaanza kufanya vitu vingine, why can't you tell him to the face? Must you wait for a public baraza so that you tell everybody? If you are second in command is misbehaving, you can have a closed door meeting and tell him, Mheshimiwa Ruto, this is what I don't want to hear. Let us work together in harmony. How can you talk of us that BBI will bring peace when already you are creating chaos on the other side? Sasa umeleta klande kwa nyumba, unafuruga bibi atikuoa bibi ya pili, sasa ndio kukua na atikuoa bibi ya pili, sasa ndio italeta peace in the family. Yes, this is already the klande is spoiling. Your children are outside.
Kwani meli klande na panga
kaya in the rain, wako kwa baridi. Na wewe unakula raha na klande na unasema ati klande ndio ataleta.
Mnakula bonus ya chai.
So, when alisema this country is in a pilot mode, yes, in a free pilot,
autopilot, yes.
Yes, I know. Tuko kabisa kwa autopilot. Sasa kama unaweza kushika ati unataka kushika MP, sasa Osoro amefanya nini? Can Osoro be a threat to national security really? I thought I knew the things that are threats to the national security. Number one is the president himself. Number two is the deputy president. Number three is the leader of opposition. Then number four is Al-Shabaab. Hao wengine wenye unataka kusema ati they are threat to national security. Yes? At the same time, the National Security Council comes out to tell us nonsense. When the deputy president is a member of the National Security Council, as they come to address us on the minutes they have agreed on. This country, actually, seriously, we have to be serious at some point. Yes? Even if it will be Raila Odinga being the president. Umeharibu Public Order Act. Ngojeni sasa muone venye itatumika. Yes? So there are people who are no nonsense. They will implement it to the last part in that thing.
Orengo alisema revolutions eat its own children until he was that baby who was being babied.
Hata Orengo mwenyewe atakuliwa na the same revolution. He doesn't think that it is a two-way traffic. This is a store. Msumeno ukata mbele na nyuma.
Okay.
So you don't know how long this relationship will last. When unaanza kupata missed call, that is when you realize ulikuwa na date bibi ya bwana ya mtu.
Sasa dadi. Have a good day, man. Enjoy your mashujaa.
Good day to you, Gerald.
Thank
Say
you.
hi to everybody.
Wamesalimika zaidi.
Salimia kina Sandra Belion, wamenyamaza siku hizi.
Wako unajua ndio wanakuanga nyuma ya mitambo. Sasa ndio wanaitwa wale ambao wanaosha vyombo vya habari. Ndio maana waoni sana.
Sijamuona leo.
Nani?
Ayala
alikimbia mashinani kidogo, alienda kuangalia mashujaa wa wale Pestan. Atakujeko tu alienda kidogo kuona wase.
Najera hata wewe wacha kuleta vigogo peke yao. Even these young aspirants, leteni hao waongee.
Ndio sasa ndio ama nimewaleta hao ndio vigogo wangu wadogo.
Sawa.
Naona majamaa wangu kwa hapa. Asante sana. Thank you, bro. What is your response? What do you think about that, guys? Anyone who can pick it fast?
I think he's candid enough just to say the things that Kenyans are saying out there. And that's why I have maintained some of these people in very high government offices need to find engage in gumzo mtaani. They will be shocked by the things that are going on in this country versus the things they are thinking about. They may be too obsessed about this transition from the president when his term comes to an end. They may be too obsessed about who becomes the president after Uhuru has retired and all those things. But they keep forgetting that the sovereign power in this country rests with the people. And that is what Article 1 of the Constitution says. And ultimately, a few individuals out there will never have the capacity to overrule the willpower and the will of the people. They may succeed for some time. And actually, this is, he has mentioned something very important about people coming up with government regulations for purposes of narrow political interests. I remember very well some of my friends who are, I don't want to mention their names, who have been crying very loud recently that either their security has been withdrawn and all these funny things. They are the same people who were shouting the loudest back in 2015 when they were passing the Security Laws Amendment Act in Parliament. They never knew that the day will come when the same laws that they were happy to pass because they were punishing the opposition will be used against them. So the same measure they need to realize, first the presidents need to realize that he needs to be very careful with how he treats other leaders. Nobody knows who the next president of this country will be. Even he himself, Uhuru, cannot determine who will be the president, because God always has a way of doing his own things. You can be here thinking about that Ruto will be the next president or this other person. Then you end up with somebody like even the Turkana governor, Nanok, becoming the governor, the president of this country.
And he has to use the same laws.
Yet Uhuru was there calling him Mushenzi in Lodwar 2 years ago. So what happens? So he needs to rise above the pettiness of especially his handlers and begin to run this country like a head of state who genuinely wants posterity for this country, and who will leave behind a legacy whereby even any president who comes after him will find a way of doing things, so that we don't want an angry leadership going into the future whereby they have scores to settle. And you remember one of the key things that Mzee Moi did that enabled a lot of people get over the sins of his administration was the fact that he agreed to hand over power peacefully. When Mzee Kibaki came into office, Mzee alienda retirement. He never got into meddling into the affairs of the Kibaki administration. Wale wachache bado walikuwa na mauchungu wakaongea, lakini wakaona mzee ana mambo na wakasahau na wakamsamehe. But you don't want to keep agitating people to the extent that they want to punish you in the future. That is very dangerous. And I wish the close handlers of the president can guide him accordingly. Power is very transient. And one day you are here, the following day you are not there. And nobody knows who will be what. Leo unaweza kuwa unadharau huyu mheshimiwa umeketi naye hapa. January 23 upate ndio governor wa Kiambu.
Hatari.
Na ulikuwa unamdharau. Sasa unapata tena maisha inakukalia.
Unaanza kusema pole Motosi.
Unaanza kusema unajua.
Si kwa serious.
Yet ulikuwa unamwangaisha. So it is not right. Let people utilize their time in public offices just to serve the interest of the public and realize that they are only custodians of the interest of the people and not very narrow interests that they are trying to pursue. Yes.
IKONYA.
Yes. No, I quite agree with the caller, but McLaren call would be just what Ben has said. I think that the president of this country, and I have utmost respect for him, he needs to get a different set of I wouldn't call them advisors, but he needs to get a different set of people who goes to the ground and listen and report back. He needs to be told the truth. Someone needs to be very honest with him. We need to have people sit around stages in Muranga, stages in Koibatek, in Kisii, pick out the real conversation. You know, that way we'll be able to make the right decisions, you know, as opposed to what we see, what we treated to. I saw some guys in some churches over the weekend saying some very funny things. And, you know, if those are the guys who report back to the president, then what you get is totally different from what is happening on the ground. So the person who told that caller was just candid, you know, just like when we did it too. He's simply saying what Kenyans out there are saying, you know. He just brought it exactly the way it is in the street. And if I was given an opportunity to advise the president to do, rather to sit down with him for only 10 or 20 minutes, I will tell him that the conversation out there is totally different, and that the priorities of the government right now are not are wrong. You know, what we need to do as a country is to look at issues that are revolving around the economy and how to revamp the economy, how to put money in people's pocket. That is a conversation that is going around. Yes. So basically, I would tell him, I would wish that people tell you the truth. I would wish them tell you that probably what we have, you may have very good thoughts in terms of bringing this country together, but you see, a pandemic came in the midst of an economic crisis, so that worsened the situation, you know. So we really better the economy. So we are, you know, worse off than where we started before COVID. So what we need to do, and what the conversation that is out there is not on this document called BBI. It's not even on uniting. If you want to unite Kenyans, unite them on their pockets. Unite them on with economic policies. That is the conversation that is out there. That is what I candidly tell the president, you know. So to me, as I told you, and I want to get back there, is that the timing of this thing is totally wrong. Or the other thing is, I even want to believe that even nature is against it. If you look at just when we're just into the campaigns of it after Meru comes COVID. When we now want to revamp it again and want to move, we're not being told the second surge is coming. So I think even nature is against it. We need to put it aside and have a real conversation. Yes.
All right. Ben, your tackle of the day. Kikafunga naona tumefikisha 9:30. Jambo kuna shughuli leo ya kwenda kuongelesha raia wala ya mashujaa. What's your tackle of the day?
No, mine is to assure Kenyans that there is hope. And despite everything that has been happening, despite everybody who feels that they own this country belongs to all of us. And today is a very important day when we are celebrating heroes, to reflect deeply. Let us run away from this culture of celebrating individuals who have not been of much value to this country. We have mothers out there who sacrificed to make us who we are today. We have fathers out there. We have teachers. We have domestic workers. We have the matatu sector. Those are the real heroes we should be celebrating. And when we begin to celebrate the real people who make a difference in our lives, then this country will move forward. The minute we'll realize that our future does not lie in an individual, and we don't have to sit and wait for somebody to read for us this document or the other one for us to make a decision. The minute we'll realize that the decision lies right with us, and each one of us was born equal before the eyes of God and before the eyes of the law, then this country will move forward. Thank you.
All right. What's your tackle of the day, Mheshimiwa IKONYA?
I think true heroism is we need to celebrate all of us as a country today. And true heroism to me would be when we begin to have an honest conversation of the plight of Kenyans. And I think leading to what Ben has said is that we need to realize that building a country is a corporate activity. You know, it takes all of us. It takes the Mamamboga, it takes the Mkokotenige, it takes those people who are down there to the people who are top there. It is a collective responsibility. All of us have to play a part. And as I say, we are all equal in the eyes of God and in the eyes of law. So I want to encourage Kenyans that there is still hope. This country still have an opportunity to turn around if we begin having an honest conversation. So it behoves all of us, from the president to the least of us, to be very honest with ourselves. Even as we celebrate heroes, the true heroism will be when we begin to have a real conversation that is centered around the problems that our Kenyans are going through. That is when we will be able to celebrate true heroes. So we have an opportunity and there is hope for this country if we get back on track. You know, we've lost, we keep bringing in things that we need to do as a country, and then we keep losing them. We have the Big Four agenda that we brought along. Somewhere along the way, we've dropped it. I think we need to get, the conversation should be on real issues, like the issues of housing, for example, that were in the Big Four agenda. You know, basically, it was not even an issue of bringing cheap houses, but if you look at the labor force that would have been employed in those, in our project, so many of our young people can get back to can get their jobs back if we revamp for example the housing thing. So we need to have a conversation around issues. Let's get back the Big Four agenda. Let's have a conversation around it. Let's be very honest as Kenyans. That is when true heroism will be celebrated in this country.
Wow. Thank you so much guys for coming in. It's a pleasure to have you. Nashukuru sana kuwaona na I hope muda geuka. Unajua unasemanga zingine ona nigeukia mnaweza fika pale. Nasikia kuna mapepo pale kwenye bunge.
Kigeu guy geuka himself. You know. Guy who did the song.
Aligeuza akageuziwa. Ai alikula mali iko imeiva.
Sasa nasikia commander, you know, I saw in the papers the other days that commander was sent to him. Same guy were fighting with the hard day, you know. Jago would not have been an MP in this country. You know, that he had run away with it. But I hear he was a emissary that was sent to Jago to talk to him, and I think it took something to him. So the fella akageuka, sasa akigeu
akavuka boda,
amevuka boda, akapanda ile nyingine. So is life. Pesa kidogo alafu unakuwa
tayari uzaanza kwa kigeugeu. Pesa kidogo. Yes.
But the one thing, Gerald, you know, mimi na wewe tumetoka mbali.
Ai sana bwana.
There is one thing that
nafa uambianga watu za zingine ben mahali tumetoka.
There is one thing I believe in, consistency. Because you see, I only God knows how long you have around here.
Kabisa.
nobody knows whether you'll be alive tomorrow. So by the time you leave this planet, I believe it is always important that you left with a clear conscience. Hiyo kwangu, it is very important.
That's what I'm always.
So it doesn't matter who is right or who is wrong. If you choose to stand by what is right and what is and what is just, your life will never go wrong. It doesn't matter, and then you'll never be intimidated by people. Yes.
Uweze geuka na kuvuka
But
boda.
then, to be very honest, that's a take home for Kenyans today.
Yes.
Consistency is a very good
It
thing.
is,
It doesn't matter whether you're in the right side of things, or rather what you believe is necessarily right. But you see, when you're consistent in something, you don't change every day. That's a principle in this life, that even our young people need to emulate. That when you become consistent, there is a way life pays you back. Sometimes down the line,
Absolutely,
if you are a consistent person. But if you keep changing goalposts in life, there's a way life that also doesn't treat you. It does life. I want to have people and friends who, if we agree on something today with Ben,
Yes.
I am sure I will wake up to it. But the people you agree on things, you're not sure whether tomorrow morning they still be
Watakuwa the same ama
yes.
watakuwa
So
ingine.
let's be consistent in our belief.
Tuache ugeugiana.
Yes.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you.
Yes.
We hope to see you again soon. By the way, man, I'm happy what you guys are doing. Ben, I'm very proud of you. We've been in this space long enough, and I'm happy what you're two doing. So I want to see you. Unajua Jamali, he once ran for president. By the way. We campaigned for him because the president alafu kaingia Nyazi. Sasa ndiye we want to see you again running in 2022. That person you were saying you never know could actually be you. Tulianza na kitu ilikuwa nitoa nak.
Ideally, what that should teach us is that we live in a life of possibilities, and we must believe as Kenyans. And every young person must start believing that you can become anything you want to become in this life. We are in a world full of possibilities. It doesn't matter. I read a scripture to you when we came. I read him a scripture here.
Yes.
I told him we slept and we woke up again today because the Lord sustained us. Then he said, the next verse says that tens of thousands of people are there waiting to harm us. But God is so faithful that when you believe in something, when we focus and we stay straight on our goals and we are consistent, then I would tell you this is a world of possibilities.
Absolutely.
Anything and anyone can be anything they want in this life.
Absolutely.
Wow. That's amazing. Hizo umekuwa motivational speaker. Karibu
Sasa
useme
toa sadaka.
nilianza biashara ya kuku na feathers mbili. Alright guys, ule mtu ambaye pia alitengeneza jacket ya The Tackle. Wewe ni shujaa. The Tackle ni shujaa. So tukirudi, I promise that we're going to make calls to your shujaas. Na I'll take a small break. Nikirudi tunakuja kupiga masimu. Nimeona kuna watu and it's quite surprising. A lot of heroes are mothers. Everybody is saying shujaa ni mama yangu, shujaa ni nane, nani amesema pia shujaa ni mama yake.
Yes.
It's quite interesting, William. That's why I think that's why even call a nation a mother.
Yes.
Because idea,
That's why you even call a country a motherland, because there are exceptional challenges that the average mother has to go through to bring forth not only a child but to raise a child. And I always remember something that I was told by an old friend of mine. You never realize the role or your parents played in your life until you become a parent. Until you become a parent. By the way, I came with my kids. They are here. You want them to come in and
come and say hi.
Yeah, let them
come and say hello.
Let them come and say hi.
Just bring them in.
Those are now my little shujas. And I'm celebrating them today. Ask them to come in. Ask them to come in. Now ndio mashujaa.
Actually, I even told them I've got 3 girls who are my little shujas. I told them, I did. Let me tell you something. The very many things you see in us, we picked from them from our mothers. The aspect of being confident and all those things. The shujas are here.
Daughters, you're here.
Hi. You want to say hi?
Say hi.
Today is mashujaa. Listen to that.
You just mic.
Hi.
You can speak to the microphone.
You can speak to the microphone.
Hi.
What's your name?
Elaine.
Lane.
Yes.
Which class are you in?
I am in year 3.
Year 3.
Yes.
Who is your shuja?
Who's your shujaa today?
I don't know.
Who is your hero?
Who's your hero? He's not even the guy sitting next to you. Alright, nani mwingine? Yes. He was on the line.
Kenyans happy Mashujaa Day.
Happy Mashujaa Day.
You know a song? Do you know one song you can sing?
Yes.
Yeah, please sing one song.
Okay. She's just a girl and she's on fire. Hotter than a fantasy, running like a highway. She's living in a world and it's on fire, filled with catastrophe, but she knows she can fly away. Oh, she's got both feet on the ground and she's burning it down. Oh, she's got her head in the clouds and she's not backing down.
I need to play that song
This
for
girl
you.
is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Looks like a girl, but she's a flame. So bright she can burn your eyes. Better look the other way. You can try, but you'll never forget her name. She's on top of the world, the hottest of the hottest girls. Say, oh, oh, we got our feet on the ground and we are burning it down. Oh, oh, we got our head in the clouds and we are not coming down. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Everybody stares as she goes by, 'cause they can see the flame in her eyes. Watch her, she's lighting up the night, and nobody knows that she's a lonely girl. And it's a lonely world, but she's gonna let it burn, baby, burn, baby. This girl is on fire.
Awesome.
This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. Oh.
Wow. Amazing. Wow. Ikonya, well, your age, what are you doing with your life?
Let's
For that reason, I need to play with that song. Let me play.